to today, I was just looking, I've been at the Academy since 2011. And during that first time I was getting my master's degree. And so when I look at my portal, there's just a stack of all the semesters that I've either been enrolled as a master's student and then as a student, as a teacher. And so I was, I think that it was it was this past spring semester where I realized that there was a class I was teaching, and the close date was a very strange thing. So I looked at this, and right now it says that our class has a close date for the 30th, which is Friday. And I think I had made the mistake because on one particular class that I was teaching, it was a Friday, and I had given the class an extension until Sunday night. And I blew it, man, because by Saturday morning, that class was closed already, and I couldn't see it. I had to do grades before I saw the final submissions. And so hopefully, luckily, everything was trending pretty reasonable right across the board. And that there were a couple of students who actually outperformed themselves that particular semester. And I kind of knew it, so I actually did my grades properly. But I wanted to make sure that when you are all hitting this folder, so right now I've got late, missing, redo, and there's nothing in there right now, which is fine. And I've got the final, and it is closing on July 30th. So if I just refresh this, I see that there's only 2 things in the folder. Now there's 3 things. So we'll do our critiques today. We'll take a look at what's new, and hopefully, if anyone can show me, what I would like is that if you are working in whatever it is, Maya, Flip, whatever it is, whatever you picked, just put a test up there. It doesn't have to be final, right? So, and I know that not everyone's here right now because the idea of finals freaks everybody out. Just put a test in there so we can look at it and we can talk about it. All right, so let me start right here. Looks like there's a couple of claymation projects that are coming in. We talked about all this. We talked about this. So right about here, I think yesterday, I took some time and just wrote some stuff up because I had some hours to make up for my time card. And I think that for Cindy, I think I made a comment in here that this all looked pretty good, but what was kind of missing from it was the idea of the swipe of your hand. When your hand comes in and knocks all 3 of your characters over, you do it too fast. And if you're thinking like an animator, you kind of want to do it like looking at my screen in the monitor, right? You can see a hand coming in, and then it gets really big, and then it even cuts right across the camera, and then it comes down, and then it swipes the characters away. So I think I wrote something like, develop that action so that we can see the smack. Give it a few frames. So in that, here's something that might help all of you, is that I'm gonna talk about what I mean with my hand. So in this shot right here, oops, I don't know if this is gonna work. I'm gonna hold on a second. All right, so in Cindy's test, all this is good. Claymation, yeah. Okay, so right about there, the audio is fine, it's good. All right, and then you saw her hand, like right up in the corner. That was like her actually taking a physical anticipation. And then she swipes it. So that was way too fast. It was like, there's like a little blur frame right there. And that's it. So what I was recommending, or trying to recommend with my words, was that you kind of think about the stage being much bigger than what you're actually producing, and saying what your final result is, that you want the hand to come in on an arc. And so the hand is going to come in on an arc. It's going to swipe these characters away and then go away. And so now if we just kind of use, let's just use a ball to test our timing. Right now, if I put this ball right here, it's out of frame. We won't see it. So we have to determine how big this hand is going to be. So let's just say that she's going to use like a mitten like this. So this is how big her hand would be. And so when I'm looking at this, it's still out of frame. It's still way out of frame. And so what we want to do is we want to think about the timing. So I'm going to put like little hash marks right here for where each frame would be. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then I'm going to put the ball. And if you're following along with me, you probably know what I'm going to do. So now the hand. So now this drawing right here is where the first time we will see the hand. And so it's going to come into frame about this big. And so what you want to do is cheat this one. So for whatever frame you want to start, get this one to come in just a little bit, just so that your eye can pick up on that little sliver of a moon. Then this is the first frame that we actually, the second frame that we actually see, and then the hand, and then the hand. See what I'm doing? So this is frame 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that's this one, and then 5 and 6, and then just a sliver to get the hand out like that. So that would be a total of 7 frames, which is close, you know, it's close to 1/3 of a second. And so 7 frames is much easier to see than just the blur frame that you have. And so this is what you want to think about as an animator. What is your intention? There's going to be this villain that comes in and knocks all your characters over and kills them. But in order to really see this, you have to have at least three or 4 frames right there. All right, so hopefully that makes sense, Cindy. All right, and then Naomi, did we talk about this one?
No, I just posted it last night.
You just put this in last night, okay. All right, so did you intend this?
Yes.
To make a smiley face?
Yeah.
Okay, good, that's good, because if you didn't and then you discovered it, that's okay too. I had a big discussion with a woman who taught like art history for many years, and she was the smartest art teacher I've ever met. Oh my God. And I'm always of the animator's point of view, where what kind of story are you telling it? Where is the story going to live? Is it on TV? Is it on the internet? Is it a short film? Is it for film? And you have to do exactly step by step in the process, or you're doing it wrong. And one of those things in the intentional was, you're making a comedy. And in order to feel that you're successful at making a comedy, did your audience laugh? Did your audience laugh in the right place? Then that way you know you have a successful film. But her point of view was that the audience can respond in different places and they can take away from it whatever their own point of view is. And we must have argued about this for like 4 years, going back and forth. And I think that she kind of changed my mind a little bit. It is okay. If you got into this production here and realized that your little guy was just doing some fun stuff on the stage, and then all of a sudden you realize it would be kind of fun to do a smiley face, that's okay too. Stuff happens all the time. So this is good. But can we have some hands for Naomi, please? Hands in the monitor, hands in the monitor, yay. All right, let me make sure I got this. Recorded, okay, and then I've got Kayla. Refresh. Come on, computer. So this is good. Aesthetically, I would worry about a caterpillar that's brown and looks like a Tootsie Roll, because it ends up looking like something a cat left behind. If caterpillars can be really colorful, so I might have recommended trying some yellows and some greens and purples in the caterpillar. I think this is fine. I think that what would have made it better is if you had actually showed the morph, taken advantage of the flexibility and the complete and total flexibility of the clay, and actually shown the morph. And you might have had a lot of fun with it. So hands for Kayla, please. Kayla's not here right now.
Oh, I have a comment about the last one.
Sure.
Also, it could have been, the caterpillar could have worked, but I think it kind of blended into the backdrop a little. If it had been like a white table surface or something
Right.
that just wasn't also brown, it would have popped a little bit more.
Right, no, I agree. And the light is really bright in the upper corner, so you might want to try to angle the light a little bit more. All right, thank you, Brennan. I'm just refreshing my page here, and I think that was it for claymation. There are a few of you who still need to put claymation in there. So let me take a look at my folder. It is open until August 11th, but that's not going to work, right? That was just me covering the extent of the class. This is your close date. So for all of you who still have claymation to put in there, this is the folder. Don't worry about it. I will see this. I will be looking at this today and tomorrow and Friday. And so I will see it. And you know who you are if you haven't got claymation in there yet. Okay, let's take a look at the final clips here. All right, Brenna, it looks like you're putting multiple projects into just this final file. Okay, so let me take a look at this first one. So which one is this, Brenna?
What?
Which project is this? This is the, is this the paper cutout one?
No. I'm confused what the question is. I'm sorry.
Well, I see that you've done a ball morphing into a strawberry, but I'm not sure which project it is. Is it this?
Digital animation.
Oh, that's digital. Okay. All right. So which project did you do this in? Which application?
I forgot what it's called. Adobe Animate?
Oh, Animate. Okay.
Flash.
Flash, yeah. Okay, we have some hands together for Brenna, please. So this works. I think that you drew frame by frame. You just, did you have a stylus?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just checking here. I always, as an animation and an art instructor, I always take a side of people who hold their pencil incorrectly or try to draw with a mouse. It's the worst thing that you can do. So this works. All right, and then this project is, do you do this in Flash too?
Yeah. All of them are done in Flash.
And did you drew with a stylus?
Mhm.
All right, and so you have to be of the same camp where you were frustrated with the tools of drawing in Flash, right? I mentioned this on Monday. Flash is like the hardest tool to ever draw in. It's one of the things that it was absolutely not meant to do. This looks okay. The timing looks good. I think you start out with the characters in a mid shot, right? We can see their belts, right? And as you progress through the shot, you either lose those belts or you lose their legs, which kind of makes the impression that the camera was zooming in on them a little bit, which is okay, again, with your artistic intent. But it looks good. I think for me, the most important thing is the timing, which I think that you've got, just a 2-second clip here, but the timing works pretty well. I think it would have worked even better if you would have started both characters neutral and then had both of them take anticipations opposite of the direction that they were going to throw their first punch. Even if it's just for one frame, it would have made it so much better. All right, and so you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then this one, is this Flash as well?
Yep.
Okay. So this is fun. It's in that special effects category. And so you're pulling at my own heartstrings here because this is great. This is great. So what you would want to do is you want to go back and study how to do pixie dust. And so remember that what I had posted for everybody. Now, I don't know where it is in my list here. Hey, was my Cinderella. That's weird. I can't find my Cinderella save. Might have accidentally deleted it. Oh, I put it up here. That's why I can't find it. So there's an art to doing that pixie dust, like right in there, getting it to fall. Right. And I think that if you were to do some of that right there at the end, it might be really fun. So this is great. Can I have hands, please, for Brenna? All right. Thank you for doing 3 of them. I think that you definitely covered the idea of digital animation. Oh, okay, and this is Alia.
It's a GIF, so you need to open in a new tab.
Okay. What is it, a GIF?
Yeah.
By the way, the guy who invented GIFs, he was approached by the consortium of people in the media, and they said, hey, all these people were pronouncing GIF incorrectly, and he said he didn't care. So the guy who invented the coding for GIFs said it's okay to say GIF or GIF. Okay, so what application did you use here?
I tried out the Wik editor and I really didn't like it.
Oh, really? So what were you drawing with?
I was drawing with my stylus and my iPad.
Okay. Well, why didn't you like it? I didn't try that application.
I mean, it was kind of annoying because I wasn't able to scroll in and out of the frame,
Oh, yeah.
and like there was no line correction, so all of it was like super messy, and I had to go
Yeah.
super slow on the line art. And
There
then
is line correction, but I think it's only on the computer version.
Oh yeah, I didn't use the computer version.
Which,
Yeah, the computer version has more options. So
did you animate this on your phone?
No, my iPad.
iPad? Well, I think it's good. I think that it works. I think you definitely would want to do a couple of things in the next time you do this. And that is your character starts here, which is, oops. Sorry. Now I can't draw and use the GIF. Oh, maybe if I do it this way, hold on a second. I'm going to open it in preview. There we go. Oh no, that's not going to work. Oh, let's try this. All right, so let me just walk you through it. The idea that your character starts here, this is the shape of the head, right? Take an anticipation, even though the character might go off the screen and probably will go off the screen, take as deep of an anticipation as you want. And then when he leans forward, you've got his mouth opening. But remember, one of the principles of animation is exaggeration. And so don't be afraid to just experiment with how much his face can open. So now I'm just gonna like clear this and redraw. And so he starts here. His head is here. His line of action for his body shape is here. Don't be afraid to go in there and just say, well, how deep, everything in animation happens on an arc. And so his head can go all the way off screen, and his eye can close, and we're going to see his little snout here. And that means that his little chest and chin is going to come over about right here. And this is fine. And so if you use a tangential line to the arc of motion here and say, this is your hold frame, you're holding here for 16 frames, and then you move into the main anticipation. And so in order to get there, you want one position, two position, and then an ease into, so a half, and then a half again. And then this is holding for 4 frames or something like that. And then you can crash out of this. And then you can just say, now I'm going to use the same arc to go forward, but from this key position, I'm going to go really fast. And so your spacing can be like this. And then this is an overshoot. And right here is when you play around with the exaggeration. And so this is the head. How far can that mouth come open? How far can and you see his teeth, right? How far can that jaw come open? And he's really angry right here. And his line of action goes from this backwards S shape to a forwards S shape. It changes. It doesn't, it just exaggerates, but it does something like that. So if you, and then hold this frame, and shake it around, like growling, right? And so when you're doing this, you could test your pencil test for 4 frames or 8 frame growl, which is 1/3 of a second, and just to test it. And then his change of attitude then is to go from this holding key overshoot position back into the normal key here in a certain number of drawings to finish your shot. I think that this ends up reading like planning for animation, starting with one key, going into your anticipation, going into an overshoot, and settling back into another key. That is the best way to plan out your animation. Okay, did you want to take a screenshot of that for yourself?
I don't know how to take a screenshot on a MacBook.
Oh, I don't know either. So I'm recording this, it'll be on YouTube later on this afternoon. Okay, can I
Okay.
have hands for
Thanks.
Alia, please? Yay! Clear this. All right, and then what was the application here again? Stick nodes.
Yep, stick
And you
nodes.
did the same thing. Now you have a GIF here too. Okay. Okay, great. Excellent. Everyone can see that hold right there. No, that's exaggeration. The coyote, when he ran off the cliff, he held up in the air for 2 or 3 seconds before he held up a sign that said, uh-oh, goodbye, everybody. That is a form of exaggeration. So whether or not you knew that, excellent. It's always fun to play around with that exaggeration, that cartoony exaggeration. So excellent, yes. Do we have hands for this one? Yay! Okay, refresh, oops, sorry, refresh. Servidya, and you've got stick nodes, you got 3 different stick nodes. Okay, this is great. Your character just blasts straight into that forward motion though. So Servidya, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So my recommendation would have been to take this character and place him more towards the left focal points, the cinematic third focal points. And so that would give him room to take an anticipation and then do his tumble. The tumble looks good. I mean, I think that his hips are kind of stuck in space right there. Oh yeah, it's not, yeah, right there. But that's okay. I think that that's like an intermediate thing to think about where you've got the character in a neutral pose. He takes an anticipation left. And at that point, every single node is moving just a little bit. The tumble's good. I like this. It's great. Let me just play it. There's something sticking about the, and the jump is good too. So yeah, this is great. Oops. Okay, could we have hands for that one, Servidya? Yay! All right, so this is the second one. And you can see the anticipation there. So this it starts out neutral and it looks like you're letting it loop for us, which is fine. So if I play it again, the character starts, he takes an anticipation down, jumps, hangs for a moment and lands. It's great. It's exactly what you need to be doing. The next step for you is to go in there and play around with the timing, exaggeration on the timings. How long do you want to hold him up here? Maybe the anticipation was holding for another 2 frames. Does that increase the exaggeration? Is
Yeah,
that
I was trying to get him, I was experimenting with the flexibility of the limbs in this one, so I didn't want to like go too into it for that
right?
yet.
Okay. All right, and then your third one. Okay, yeah, this is great. Now that's kind of an impossibility. You want to be careful of this action, right? This is fine. This is fine. That's okay. You did another one here. So that character drifted from position on screen just a little bit to the left,
Yeah.
and both feet were off the ground. And you want to be really careful about moving a character when both feet are off the ground, especially when you're not taking an anticipation.
So
you-
what, there are two things I think I could have done. Either I could have taken an anticipation and then had him leap, or I could have made the frames shorter. I feel like I put too many in betweens.
Yeah, it's
so.
possible. Anticipations are always really, really noticeable. Did you ever play Pokemon Go?
No,
Do you know anybody who has it?
no.
Well, if you ever do, if you ask around and look for, tell them to show you the character Chimchar. Because the character is just sitting there and it's a game, so he's got an idle animation. He's just going like this. And then he does a backflip. But in order to do the backflip, he completely does an anticipation. And I showed it to the director of animation, 2D animation, at the Academy like 3 or 4 years ago when that character came out. And then the anticipation is so wonderful and so strong that she just squealed in the middle of her classroom. She's like, "Oh my God." And some of the animation in the characters for Pokemon Go is actually really good. All right, so yes, good. Do we do hands for all three of these? Thank you, Servidja. Yay! All right, Tiffany. And this looks like it's a GIF as well.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I can handle that. Oh, she morphs into a duck.
It's supposed to be this one.
So which application did you use here?
I used Wik Editor as well.
Wik. Yeah,
It's also really hard to draw.
yeah. Did you have a stylus though, right?
Yeah, I use like my tablet.
Right. What's going on? Why is it chiming at me? So I think this is good. To me, it looks like that you copy and pasted the head moving forward in a few frames, like right there.
Yeah, it's like it's really hard to draw a head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you've got but I think that you did yourself an artistic disservice by covering up her head right when you wanted to do the morph into the duck. I think just as the correct thing to do as a budding animator, you want to try drawing the head in that position and then figuring out how to morph the head from the girl into the duck. This totally works for me. It's a digital application that you're using to create this, so it's fine for the class. But just artistically, I think that if you wanted to bring that wing up and cover her head, then get it to really cover her head, and then bring the wings down. And as the wings down, as it reveals her face, then do the morph. And it's as simple as going in there and saying that your character, that your character's head is here, and you've got these leaves, right? And it's a girl, and there's a neck, and the eyes are here, and her hair is here. And you just do shapes. So you've got this, you've got her ear, and that is your character. That is your human character. And then just do this on a piece of paper separate from your animation stage, and just say, what do you want to morph this into? You could do it over here. You say, well, your duck character is going to look like this, and it's going to have a different shaped neck. We noticed that those little laurel leaves were still up there. It's always good to give like maybe one of the leaves in both of the applications a better silhouette, something like that. So you're going from this into this. And if you put it right over the top of it, what you see is that there's a nose. So this nose is going to grow, this beak. And the eyes are going to change from this shape into just a singular circle kind of thing. And so you just morph it. You go from your eye shape, and then so you're going to go from that into a circle, and then halfway is something like this. And then you do the breakdown. Sorry, this isn't the best drawing application either. All right, so you see what I mean? This is just the eye. And then the beak just grows. It goes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions. It just extends out. And the neck goes from here into this position in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drawings. And so that morph right there, it's actually really fun to do. You can't go wrong with it. If you look at these little tick marks right here and you wanted to add ease into this, then you just take the positions, and as animator planning it, you say, well, this is the arc of motion for the growth. I want it to be fast and then slow down as you get towards the tip of the beak. So this is an ease into the duck key, if that makes sense. So that would be something to just improve it. All right, did we have hands for Tiffany, please? Clapping, clapping, yay! Clapping, clapping. All right. All right, let's do this. Esther's file is still coming in.
Oh, it showed that it's already there.
It's
Do
already there.
yeah, should I redo it again?
No. Oh, there it is. Okay, we got it.
So I just want to say I tried using like camera view, but then it messed up my whole thing. So it's kind of a little bit messed up.
I see what you're doing. Which application did you use here?
Adobe Animate.
Animate. And so you discovered, just like I warned you about, drawing in Flash is like the worst. So yeah, you were drawing in Flash. Were you struggling with it? Is it as frustrating as I warned you about?
Yeah.
So you drew, and then the character disappeared here?
Well, so I drew and then I used another layer so that I can just show the ball just going,
Yes.
and it just didn't work out.
Well, my intuition is that something covered it up,
Yeah, okay.
but this is fine. This is good. If we could have hands for Esther, please. Yay! I think it works. I'm trying to think about what you did, about why the character disappears. The only thing I can think of is that on this particular frame right here, you've got both of them visible. And so my intuition is that you just need to hold this character. So if you go out into the timeline,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to draw this instead of turning Flash on right now. So in the timeline, let's say that you have your guy in the timeline. And in the timeline, you have a bunch of keys, right? And the keys are always indicated by those little dots, like that. And then they become like blank frames all the way down until the the very end of the shot, which you can control the number of frames here. But as it ends right here, and these little light gray spaces,
Yeah.
means that it's not going to play there. So
Okay.
so what you need to do is go all the way out to the end of where you want it to be. Let's say that this is 4 seconds, which is 96 frames, right?
Yeah.
Right at frame 96, put your mouse right here and hit F5.
Got it.
Do you have it open right now?
Yes, I do.
So just go out and you'll see that what happens is that a new keyframe will be added right here. And then all of these frames will just be a little darker gray. And that extends the hold. That extends the hold for that last keyframe all the way to the end. And this will not be there. There should not be a keyframe there. So having said that, there is one thing that I would like to mention, and that is that in the frame before this, your character was getting their anticipation, and their hand was way up here or something like this. So this was something like what the keyframe before it was.
Yeah.
And then you crash into this one. So remember your principles of animation. If he's going to go on an arc, just use the arc for his head. This is an arc,
Mm-hmm.
and you want easing into this animation and easing out of it,
Okay.
which is technically an overshoot. And if he is right here, you might want to take an anticipation,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
You probably don't need any squash and stretch, but if he's going to start here, take an anticipation, you ease into that anticipation, then you ease back out of it. But when you're doing this, if you want this motion to be really fast,
Mm-hmm.
then one suggestion is to play around with a frame right in the middle of it that
Okay.
has blur frames in it. And we didn't have a chance to talk about blur frames at all. It's like it's moving so fast that everything is just a streak of motion. This leg would be just an in-between like this, but this leg flips over on itself and
Mhm.
kicks up. So this foot would just be kind of like blur. These are speed lines. So if you do a drawing, just kind of like this pink one in
Yeah.
the middle of it, and then
Okay.
you put these speed lines in there, and you even do little speed lines for the ball as it goes off.
Got it.
Because that's what your camera actually sees in
Okay.
that one frame. And in this, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 principles of animation built into just that one action. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you.
All right, hands for Esther, please. All right, let me refresh my screen here. Come on. There we go. All right, so let me do this. Let's take a 10-minute break, and we come back. I will look at this folder again, and then I have some thoughts for you, some closing thoughts. So take a 10-minute break, please. All right, so just as some ending points. Yes, this is the last day of class. So this is the last day of class, but Maddox, the class stays open until July 30th. And I believe that is true. My other section of this class, it goes all the way to August 11th. I think that's something like that. It goes all the way to maybe even to August 13th, I forget. So you should have access to this folder, this digital animation final folder, until Friday. Friday at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, and so I will not do final evaluations until then. Probably Saturday morning or something like that. And it's at that point when I won't be able to actually see the class Because what it does is it like kicks me into grade. So as soon as, this is the way the class looks like to me. And as soon as I click class open, like right here, like, you know, I could right click and say open in a new tab, it'll automatically take me to the grading page. And so if there's something in there that I haven't seen, I won't see it until I do the final grade. So more than likely what I'll do is I will pay attention to this folder all day today and write some critiques in there as stuff rolls in. Tomorrow is Thursday, so I will look at it a couple of different times, maybe 9, noon, and 3 in the afternoon on Thursday, something like that. And then Friday, I'll look at it maybe noon, and then later in the day. And if there's anything in there, instead of doing a video critique, I'll actually write something in there. Oh, this is great. You know, you got full credit for this. Don't worry. Thank you so much. Have a nice day, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, so I'm looking at this digital animation final folder, digital folder, staying open until midnight of July 30th. Okay, let me refresh this, see if there's anything in there right now. All right, so I wanted to talk about just a couple of things. And the thing here is now your journey into the world of being an animator. And so there's a couple of things that I wanted to mention here. And I kind of wish that I had, you know, well, this will work. I'll just use a Google window here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make some notes for you. And you don't have to, you don't have to write the notes down because it'll be on video unless you want to transfer them to your own screen. So in the world of animation, it used to be that you climbed the ladder. You know, you worked as a PA, a production assistant, or you were an intern, or you had a mentor. You could even apprentice under somebody at one point or another. You know, these were your first steps in animation from the golden age of animation all the way to like the late 80s or 90s almost. And then you could work your way up your ladder. Then you were doing art room stuff. So you were an art assistant, you were an AA. And that meant everything, that you were doing Xeroxing, or you were rehanging cells, and you were tearing backgrounds, or whatever the studio needed you to do. Production assistant falls into that category of, hey, somebody needs to go on a coffee run, you know, and that was like, you know, you don't want to do that as an animator, but as a production assistant, especially if you're still in high school, this was one of those first steps. At least you're in the studio and you're meeting people. You know, mentorships are great. They were rare in the early days of animation, and they're still kind of rare now, but you make this happen on yourself, on your own. The same thing with an apprentice. If a studio is going to bring you on, it's a pretty big deal to apprentice under a master animator. You know, an art assistant, that's a great thing too. And then in the olden days of animation, I'm gonna do this on the left here, you would start as an assistant animator. And an assistant animator would do all kinds of things. They would do in-betweens, they would clean up drawings, they would make sure that the exposure sheets were correct. One offshoot with this is you could have been a checker, and that was to make sure that every single thing in the animation folder was in the right place and was colored correctly. I did this for 2 years at Colossal Pictures. And then the assistant, you can move into a full assistant animator by doing just in-betweens. And this is like, let's go up the ladder here. And then you can become a key assistant. A key assistant cleans up the keys and does the breakdowns. and does the breakdowns. A lead key assistant actually can animate a little bit. And so each one of these steps on the ladder, you're gaining more and more knowledge. From the lead key assistant, then you're becoming an animator. And then you have a lead animator. You have directing animator. Sorry, directing animator, supervising animator. Supervising animator. Then you can do boards, character design, and then this can be a jump up here where you're actually the director of whatever you're doing. And that's for commercials or shorts or feature films. So that's just one typical ladder. Down here, if you are an intern at a company in California, there's money here, and it's usually somewhere around $17 an hour. An art assistant, a production assistant, those things are all just a step and a half above minimum wage. And in the olden days, these first steps down here were just a couple of dollars above minimum wage. By the time you became a key assistant or lead key assistant, I'll do the translation. When I was doing lead key, I was making about $25 an hour. So that just translates to about $30 an hour in 2021. If you're a lead animator, you're talking 35. Directing animator, you're making $40 an hour probably just to start. Boards can be different. If very few studios have full-time board artists, storyboard artists, but they can make $400 a day or up to and including $2,000 a day. They can also work by the piece, and they could say, we're going to have you do this 10-minute storyboard, and we're going to give you $10,000 to do this whole board. And so this is, you have to be well known in the industry in order to make this kind of money for whatever storyboard you're doing. So a couple of things that I wanted you to keep in mind here is that nowadays everything is at home, and studios like this idea of you working at home, because then they don't have to pay insurance for you being in the building. They don't have to pay for the computers. They don't have to worry about all this. What they do have to worry about is your own production. What's the best word? Production speed, your production prowess. They're going to hire you as an animator. They can hire you as a lead key. They can hire you as a board artist. All of these things really right in here for whatever rate, $25 to $35 an hour. But you are working from home. And this isn't just the pandemic thing. This was happening quite a bit of time before the pandemic came upon us. Because what was happening is that on any particular job posting, they would say, well, this is Blue Sky Studios. They're in White Plains, New York. They're looking for an animator who can also do storyboards. And they would post it on LinkedIn. And then as this got posted on LinkedIn, these studios were getting upwards of 1,500 applications a day. And by the way HR works is that in order to make it fair for everybody, this LinkedIn posting was open for 2 weeks. So after 14 days, they had thousands and thousands of applications. So one of the things that studios were doing was trying to weed out any potential people that weren't really fit for the job. And so they were asking for 2 or 3 or 5 years experience They were putting in keywords in their job search so that they were looking for, did you work at Pixar? Did you work at ILM? Did you know how to work in After Effects? Did you know how to work in Photoshop and all kinds? Did you know how to write code? Do you know HTML5? Do you know how to write C++ and Python? And these are the weed things right here, because they were trying to keep this number as low as possible, because you just can't look at this number of many applications. The typical computer was looking for spelling errors, and they would look for keywords just to try to weed this number here to a workable number. And on NPR, they talked about this a couple of years ago, that out of all of the applications for like all the jobs ever in America between 2005 and 2010, there were just an astonishing number. It was like 50% of all applications were kicked out by the computer just because of spelling errors. And remember that in our industry, this spelling error thing can be kind of crazy, because sometimes you're writing PSD, right? Or you're writing JPEG, but if you don't put it in the exact right way, it could show up as a spelling error. So for us in digital media arts animation, you have to be really careful with these JPEGs. You know, you don't want to write out Adobe Creative Cloud Photoshop every single time on your resume, because then it's just asking for trouble. The more words on your resume, the more dangerous. All right, so just keep this in mind. When you're doing your resume, make sure that these spelling errors are gone. The next thing is keywords. And so take this from the job description. There was a great article about a year ago. A CEO was just talking about non-standard job titles. And a studio would be looking for an animator who could also do storyboards and character design. And so they would just make up a title. They would say, we're looking for a directing designer. And I just made that up. But that's okay, because these studios were making it up as they were going along as well. But what you have to do is look at this job description and take your keywords from the job description and make up your title. So it's a tricky thing here to make sure that you're applying for the job that they want. What you end up trying to do is you are trying to be a purple squirrel. You are trying to be the exact person that this company is looking for. This is a real thing. This is a marketing tool where a real purple squirrel is impossible to find. It doesn't exist. If you Google it, there are these photoshopped versions of purple squirrels, because in the marketing world, it just becomes kind of a joke almost. So if you do Google purple squirrel, they are out there, but they're not real. But what you're trying to do is you are trying to be the purple squirrel. So when you're doing your jump into animation, you want to jump over all this. You don't want to apprentice. You don't want to find a mentorship. You don't want to be a production assistant. You don't want to do in-betweens in Maya. You want to be an animator. And so now in the 21st century, you can skip over all these things in the production studio and just be an animator. You can actually even just be a character designer if you're good enough. And there are tons of people out there who make their living just on designing characters. If anyone's interested, go look at the stuff that Scotty Young is doing right now. His stuff is incredible. Gris Grimley, there's a whole bunch of people they're just character designers. Scotty Young is the comic book author for I Hate Fairyland, if anyone is privy to Scotty Young stuff. All right, so then when you're building your resume, if you don't have the experience, you're going to have to get the experience, because that's the next thing. Spelling errors, keywords, make sure your job description matches your title, because that non-standard job title can be really funny sometimes. So you're going to have to just get experience. At the academy, they cover this for you because you have a couple of production classes. And I forget what they call them. They call them something, it's gone from my head right now. So these production classes are your experience. And I think there's 2 of them. And on any given semester, the juniors and the seniors are going to be putting their projects together, and they're going to be putting out these bulletins, and they're going to be looking for tons of different people. And so as a sophomore, get in on these, get in on these projects. And then when you're a junior or senior, you can actually make this your own project, so that by the time you leave the academy, you might have 3 or 4, maybe even 5 things that are going to wind up on Internet Movie Database, because they are out there. The seniors, when they, and even the master's students, when they're looking to complete their film, their mentors, their teachers say, go out and put your production team together. You know, and you might actually be doing animation on an MFA film that's going to wind up in a festival somewhere, and you end up having an Internet Movie Database tag in your junior year of college. And so the Academy actively does this. Working on these projects is important because whoever's looking at your resume might say, oh yeah, I recognize this. Oh, I know Tom Bertino. Oh, I know Daisy Church. Oh, I know Christian. I know they know all these people. These people worked at Pixar and ILM and Disney. And so these are the big check marks over here. This is the big thing right here, is making sure that you have 3, 4, 5 things in your experience before you even graduate. All right, I'm just going to take a pause right there. Do I have any questions about this for right now? From anybody? Nobody?
Any other way to get this kind of like experience during college?
Say that again. I didn't hear all your words.
Is there like any other way to like get this kind of experience?
Oh, sure. Here's a good one. Just do it. So you come up with an idea. You know that you want to have a 1-minute film, right? This is 1 minute. So what do you need? You need character designs. Do your own character designs. You do your own storyboards, and then you do your own animatic, and then you do your own pencil tests, and you say, what do I want to produce? Do I want to produce this in Toon Boom or Maya? And then you have to figure out your pipeline. And a 1-minute film, if you're doing it all by yourself, it could take you 3 months, right?
Mhm.
And so as you're learning Maya, you realize that pipeline, it's pretty crazy, because then you got to do modeling, texturing, lighting, rigging, animation, and then the render, right? And then you also have to do the compositing. And then in your post-production, you might need to take it into After Effects and do color correction and sound and audio. And that's just for a 1-minute film. That's just for 60 seconds. But you do it. It takes you 3 months, and you do it. And you put it on YouTube, and you get 1,000 hits, right? And then all of a sudden it goes from 1,000 to 10,000 hits. And then do this again. So you do the pipeline for a 1-minute film, and then you do it again. And so all of a sudden, if you start doing these 45 seconds, 1-minute films, 2-minute films, then all of a sudden this number is going to make you recognizable. And any of these that get into festivals, this is a big one. So you go on to a thing called Film Freeway, or it's part of the Internet Movie Database. Internet Movie Database is owned by Amazon. And if you get into festivals, it costs anywhere from $0 to $250. The typical festival fee is like $75. And if you get one of these films into a festival, then you're automatically on Internet Movie Database, and then that goes on your experience for your resume. Festivals are kind of picky. They don't like their films to be in this 2-minute range. They're too short. So that is going to start right around a 4-minute mark. Doing a 4-minute film is the general indication. So that's one thing that you can do. You do it all yourself. You say, I'm going to do a 4-minute film. Here's my idea. You're going to write a script. You're going to write the character designs. You're going to do the storyboards. You do the initial animatic. You start animating it, and then you model, texture, light, render, animate, rig, and then you composite. You put the sound together. You have friends of yours to do the music. You have friends of yours to do the voices. And over the course of a 4-minute film might take you a little longer. A 4-minute film might take you 6 months, but then it's worth it because it hits this, it gets into a festival. You are on Internet Movie Database. It's part of your resume. And this is what you're hoping for, is that one of these people who saw your film on Internet Movie Database actually is the person reading your resume. That's what you're looking for. That's like the holy grail. And again, with you trying to be a purple squirrel, there is one thing that I should end this little discussion about, and it is about who you know. It is about who you know. And one of the things, like I just said, in these production classes in these junior and senior years, these instructors are all coming from ILM, Pixar, Blue Sky Studios, Disney, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Amazon, Netflix now. And so these teachers have a lot of credibility in here. You know, my Internet Movie Database has only got 4 or 5 films on it because I started teaching, and it's really kind of hard to keep making films when you're teaching. So that's one really great way to do it. It's to make your own film, and maybe you get together with 3 other people. So there's a team of 4 of you that are doing the production pipeline for character design, boards, animation, animatics, principal animation. And then you have to figure out whether you're going to draw it by hand, or are you going to do stop motion? And then you've got to make puppets. Then you've got to get lights and cameras. There's a lot to consider. It's a little cleaner to work in Toon Boom or in Maya. But this, and I know that this looks crazy, but if you've been following along with me, you might understand that it is possible. Studios do want animators, but the problem is that once this, where did I put it? Once this gets posted on LinkedIn, right? I'm going to put like a little star right here. Once that job gets posted on LinkedIn or Glassdoor, or there's a whole bunch of them, that this goes worldwide. And so if people are working from home, now instead of competing with people in the Bay Area or Los Angeles, you're competing with people worldwide. And so take this part very seriously. If they're looking for 2, 3, 4, 5 years experience, then this becomes important. Getting part of these production classes becomes really, really important. Doing your own film becomes really important. Nowadays, people love this independent filmmaker take on making films. And then all of a sudden you're developing your own style, which is great. People love this. And this is not easy. It's not easy to develop your own style. It takes a while, but it can be done. It can be done, but remember that when you're competing with 1,500 people a day or 10,000 people over 2 weeks, right? That you're competing worldwide. So you're competing with Hong Kong and Paris and Brussels and Ireland. There's a huge production studio in Ireland. There's an enormous studios in Canada. You're competing with people worldwide. So going back, make sure that when you're building your resume, have people check it for you. Make sure there are no spelling errors. Your keywords are in the right place. The keywords are coming from the job description, and that you are trying to be a purple squirrel. Make sure that you're getting as much production experience as possible. All right, does that make sense to everybody? So now what I'm going to do a horrible thing and erase my board. Everybody ready? Erase. All right, so I'm going to go back to this. All right, so now I'm just back in the regular classroom. Let me see if there's any notes right here. Let me go to our class here. Oh, we got someone uploading something. Roberto joined us a little bit late, but that's okay. All right, Roberto, are you on camera? Can I share the screen with you? All right, Roberto, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay. What tool did you use here?
I used Flip-a-Clip for this one.
Okay. Sorry, I'm rubbing my eyes. I remember Monday I had that nasty allergic reaction. I took some cold medicine, fell asleep for 2 hours. Oh my God.
Nothing now could take the wind out of my sails, because I'm about to step out this evening with top hat, white tie, and tails.
Hands for Roberto, everybody. Okay, so this is great.
Wait, can I see one more time?
Yeah.
Nothing now could take the wind out of my sails, because I'm about to step out this evening with top hat, white tie, and tails.
He's dead. So remember that
Beautiful.
is, yeah, hands please, right? Hands, yeah. As long as you're drawing in 2D, Roberto, are you there?
Yes.
Hey, where's my pencil? That you are obligated to put in all the squash and stretch. All the feet. His top hat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I should have done that. Not thinking about
You
it.
should have done it. All right, so that's just my take on this, because this is a big anvil. I know that the main director of the department doesn't like the idea of just using a 2D tool in place of the digital animation here. But for me, I don't care. You're high school students and you're trying and you're getting a little bit of experience. So I'll take this. It's not the best. I would have rather you worked with either the Wix thing or Maya or the other one, that little pencil test thing. So this is good. Let me make sure that I put that in my grade book. All right. So once again, 1 second, everybody, hold on. Okay. One thing that I would just like to reiterate is that I will be looking at the class a couple more times today, and I will look at it definitely at least 2 times tomorrow and 2 times on Friday. Before midnight, so that I can get the stragglers in here. I'm just looking at my list right here, because there's a bunch of you I know who are working, and getting stuff in. So, oh, there's a new message here. Claymation tonight. Okay, so yes, Brenna, that would be awesome. A couple of things on the radar, a couple of things to just look forward to. And I know I've mentioned this before, but it's good for last day lecture kind of things. And that is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Pay attention to this. It's slated to be in post-production like very, very soon, which means that it's supposed to be coming out maybe for the holidays. Guillermo del Toro is awesome. He's like one of my favorite directors of all time. And so this is not going to be for kids. He has actually been quoted as saying, this is not going to be for kids, which is great. You know, animation doesn't always have to be for kids. The vast majority of the stuff out on Amazon Prime and Netflix and Hulu and all that, it's for young kids, and it's almost intolerable to watch. The limited animation style is not my favorite. Not my favorite at all, but pay attention to Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. Again, I highly recommend Luca, Pixar. That it's just really, really good. It's refreshing. There's twists and turns in the story that you didn't expect, so they're not following the typical hero's journey. It's there. It's really good. It's fun, and it's targeted for a family audience, which means young boys and girls and older boys and girls. And there's some weird things that happen in there too. I love that. I always love the weird, which is kind of why I like Guillermo del Toro and Wes Anderson. They're my favorite. All right, so remember that if anyone has any other questions for me, to use my Yahoo, because I'm still very shy about my AAU email thing, and I'll just put this in there again just to reiterate it. Oops, Yahoo, I put Yahoo. All right, so that, and maybe make sure you put the .com on there. Starting on, I'm just looking. September 3rd, I start running a special effects class. I'm one of the few people who works in the game department and in the animation department. And so that special effects class is for the game department. So I will be around the AAU system. It's just one class. I will also be teaching at Kenyatta College, which they have a storyboard class for me down there. And I will also be at San Francisco State taking my credential classes over there. So in just a few weeks, I've become very busy, but I like being busy. Busy is good. Busy is good. All right, anyone have any questions, comments, complaints, conundrums, criticisms? Tall tales, shaggy dog stories, fables, yarns, spinning yarns into infinity, anybody?
Could you repeat that?
Just any final questions? So, Svidya, I was just asking if you had anything before I say goodbye. No? All right, so keep that in mind. I'll put this recording, I like being busy too. I'll put this recording up on YouTube in an hour or so. And remember that, thanks, Svidya. And I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, that if anything shows up in the digital folder, I'll try to write you a short little critique rather than doing a video critique. No, Izzy, you do not have until August 11th. I just said this, the shell of the class is gonna close at midnight on Friday. So get it in Friday afternoon. Thank you, Izzy. Okay, and if anyone doesn't have any last things to say, have a great last 2 weeks of summer and enjoy your senior years in high school, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I have a great
Bye.
summer.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Billy.
Brennan,
I'll see you. Yeah. You have something for me?
do I what?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'll see you this weekend then.